It's Saturday, October 14th, 2023. As I make this video, a lot happening over in the Middle East right now. And it reminds me to make sure that I'm exercising situational awareness. My head's on a swivel, and I want to remind all of you to do the same. We don't know how long this is going to last, but things are going to continue to escalate as they do. We stand a very high chance of things happening here. So be very, very cautious when you go out, whether you're in a big crowd, a little crowd, it doesn't really matter. You've got to be careful out there. We have enough crime right here in America. We have enough of our own crime, let alone what potentially could begin here in retaliation. So be careful out there. And how this plays out with the U.S. economy, I think it's too early to say. One thing that I will say is this is going to cost America more money. The more wars we get involved in, the more weapons we're giving countries, the more munitions we give countries, the more money we give countries. This is costing us. So we're going to have to print more money. We're going to have to borrow more money. And this is going to be a problem because it's going to produce more inflation. So you've got to be protecting yourself not only from these threats, but also the financial threats that this is going to continue to produce. There was an article that we talked about a few days ago. Fed's Neil Kashkari sees 40% chance of meaningful higher interest rates. He says we need to move more significantly higher to bring down inflation. The Fed right now, and this is a problem that I see, is the Fed is fighting inflation that it says is 3.7%. You know, and I know, inflation is not 3.7%. We could argue it's 10%, 12%. Many of you would say it's much, much higher. When you look at the cost of food at COSTCO or your grocery store or the butcher or the gas station or housing and all these things, there's an argument to say that we are in at least double digits inflation. And so while the Fed is fighting 3.7%, I don't know how it can defeat inflation when it's not admitting to itself or to you and I what the real inflation number is. It's not 3.7%, but you're going to have to take rates much higher above the inflation rate in order to knock inflation out or to get back to 2%. That is for sure. Here's another one today. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Big banks say trouble is coming, but their earnings are still strong. Now, remember, they absorbed a lot of these regional banks that went under and their assets. But it says here, higher rates are making bank loans more profitable. But we have to remember this too. They've tightened lending restrictions. Many people now, small businesses, individuals cannot get loans. They don't qualify. More loans, it says here in the Wall Street Journal, are going bad. American consumers are starting to deplete coffers of extra cash they built during the health crisis. Then we have Ukraine. We have Israel. We have rising deficits, all adding to uncertainty. Remember this too, banks are having to pay more since interest rates have gone up. They're having to pay more on these bank deposits. So the banks are saying right now that big trouble is coming, even though they're not, most of them are not feeling it yet. But then you also have to take into account the multitude of regional banks that made massive commercial real estate loans. And they're going to pay a huge price here as the commercial real estate depression continues. And so we are going to see a lot of banks go under or taken over by these bigger banks whose profits will probably continue for a while. But I do believe that we're going to see big trouble in the regional bank sector, but we're going to see some big banks too get themselves into very, very big trouble here. Auto loans, commercial real estate loans, housing loans. Think about the bad loans that they made in housing, people paying $100,000, $50,000, $200,000 over asking price so they could buy a home that is going to continue to go down in value now, or people borrowed money to buy an investment property, a short-term rental that is not renting out now, and we're going to begin to see property values come down. In many areas, they've already begun to come down. The home builders who are building these new homes, you're seeing them discount, buy down rates, discount, throw in incentives, you name it. So it's all beginning to change right now, and these banks made horrible loans. They're lending 140% on automobiles, loan to value. They're going to get destroyed. People that cannot pay back their student loan debt, people defaulting on credit card debt, people who are going to default on their home loans, commercial real estate, all of this stuff is going to be detrimental. It's going to be catastrophic for the banking industry, whether they're smaller regional banks or big banks. I think the banking sector across the board is going to feel severe pain. So be careful. And I bring this up because you don't want all your money sitting in the bank. Keep enough money in the bank to pay the bills, to run your business. That's it. You really shouldn't have any more money than you need to in these banks. You should be your own bank. Now, here's another one from The Hedge today. Ex-Walmart CEO says U.S. consumers reaching breaking point. We talked about this one last week, too. This is Bill Simon. He says the almighty American consumer whose spending drives the economy is reaching a breaking point. It is on the verge of folding. There is no doubt this is 100% true. And people will say, yeah, but there's people in the restaurants, there's people going to concerts, and there's people going to the bars. And how do you think most people are doing this? I bet you more than 50% of the people in those restaurants, in the bars, and the concerts, and the baseball games are using something called a credit card in order to do this. The U.S. consumer is fighting reality here. They don't want to give up the lifestyle. They don't want to give up their entertainment. They don't want to give up their social life. They're going to continue to find a way to do this, and they're using credit cards to sustain this lifestyle. But I've got a newsflash for these people. They're making a very, very big mistake here. In fact, a dangerous mistake, because when the credit cards run out, they believe that maybe something's going to change. They're going to get a raise, or the economy is going to improve, or their spouse is going to get a new job. And these people are really, really putting themselves in jeopardy. And these people more than likely are going to pay a very, very severe price for taking this gamble. And this is exactly what they're doing. They are gambling at this point, and the odds are not in their favor. Mr. Simon goes on to say, consumers had an incredible 10 to 12 year run. Markets were buoyant. Interest rates were low. Money was available. But now the music has stopped and the party is grinding to a halt. I see it. I see it every day. It is grinding to a halt. You talk to people, if somebody's being honest with you, people are telling you that they're hurting. Just like that handyman who yesterday I talked about in a video, the YouTube handyman. That to me is you're getting information from the ground floor right there. Somebody that works every day, somebody who's been a handyman for many, many years, who's beginning to see trouble. I've had to hire services recently myself, and people are working for a lot less now than they were a year or two ago. And people are going to do whatever they have to do to survive, to eat, to pay the bills. And so we're going to see people work for less money. You're going to see prices of homes come down. You're going to see prices, well, you're seeing prices of used cars. I think they're down about 8.8% year over year. New cars, not yet, because of the massive strike that's going on. But it's going to happen. And according to this article on The Hedge, 41% of households say they're worse off than a year ago. So it's inevitable that things are going to continue to spiral out of control, that people are going to have to work for less money. They're going to have to sell their homes for less money. The toys are going to be sold for less money, all this. And it shocks me and amazes me that people just a few years ago could not see the writing on the wall, that people never thought we would ever see a downturn, that the housing market would never slow down, that commercial real estate would never slow down, that everybody just was in this euphoria, that things are going to be going on full steam ahead with all this cheap money. That's another thing too. How many people and financial institutions, banks, thought that this easy money would last forever? It's just shocking. People with big degrees on their walls, and people that wear $3,000 suits, and people on television shows who thought that they would never raise interest rates, that the cheap money will last forever. These people were so wrong, and so many people believe every word that comes out of their mouth and follow everything that these business channels and these analysts and these economists and these bankers tell them, and they've been wrong about everything. You got to stop believing everything you hear, ladies and gentlemen. You got to start thinking for yourself. There's no way that any economy goes on forever without a downturn, or a housing market, or commercial real estate, a stock market. There's always cycles, and cycles are healthy. But unfortunately, we've been told that it's never going to stop, and that the U.S. dollar will be here for the next 1,000 years, and it's all a big lie, ladies and gentlemen. You need to be preparing for a massive downturn that has already begun. It's already affecting people you and I know. Here's another one: how Americans respond to the inflation crisis. 64%. In this article on the hedge said that they're spending less on non-essentials. People are buying what they need, not what they want. 39% said that they're cutting back on non-essential trips in their car. So they're not just maybe driving to the beach for the day. They're just using their car to drive to work and back. 39% said they're going out to eat less. Now this was interesting. Some people are reporting that the restaurants are full, they're busy. I would say in my area, the Palm Springs area, there's nothing crazy going on. I don't have to wait if I want to go eat lunch or dinner. There's no wait. There's people eating there. But I just went to a Thai restaurant last night, and there was 8 people in the entire restaurant, including myself. So I'm not seeing the rush at these restaurants like we did a few years ago, where everybody was out eating and drinking. There was a line out the door, and I'm not seeing that type of environment now. Not to say that maybe that's not happening in certain areas. Maybe it's happening in your area in some places, but overall, I think less people are spending money to go out and eat. 32% said that they're using less electricity and gas at their homes. I can believe that. So, if things were so good, we would not be reading data like this right now. I will say I am shocked that with gas out here at around $6 a gallon, that there's as many people driving down Interstate 10. That does shock me. But again, without credit cards, we'd probably see a lot less people driving right now. But people are using one of their many credit cards right now. 589 million credit cards in America, in the pockets of Americans right now. What could possibly go wrong? Here's another one. California bans student suspensions for defying teachers and disrupting classes. This was interesting. Starting July 1st, 2024, it will be illegal for California public schools to suspend students for disrupting class or defying teachers. Newsom signed, our governor, he signed SB 274. No more kicking kids out of school for minor disruptions, said the bill author Nancy Skinner. She is out of Berkeley, California. Students belong in school, she says, where they can succeed. Is this woman delusional or what? So how do students succeed when you have a disruptive kid who's acting out, being loud, being belligerent, maybe being threatening to a teacher or another student? How does the classroom succeed? How does the average student succeed? And what about authority? People have no respect for authority, no respect for their teachers, their elders, law enforcement, just other people, their neighbors. What does this teach the younger generation? That you can do whatever you want to do, and if you act up, nobody can do anything to you. You're allowed to remain in class, be disruptive, and then take the time away from your classmates, so this affects their education, their time in the class. I mean, this is absolutely idiotic, what is going on. And again, the message that it sends, and honestly, I think it really puts teachers in a vulnerable position, actually a dangerous position, because now you have a belligerent student who is acting up and knows that nothing's going to happen to them, and then this can turn actually turn physical, which we've seen a million times on these YouTube videos, where these kids, when they're asked to put their phone away or their phone is taken from them, they get extremely violent. We've seen the teachers knocked out, concussions, put in the hospital, the whole thing. But this is not going to fix it. This is going to actually enhance the problem. This is, I mean, we no doubt are living in the twilight zone. I mean, I couldn't even imagine as a student being disruptive in a class. They didn't play games back in the day, I can tell you that. Here's another one from The Hedge today. U.S. teens spend 4.8 hours every day on social media. We have a digital addiction here in America, ladies and gentlemen. Kids are addicted to their phones, their iPads. Look, we're all a bit addicted. I get it. Everybody has a phone. Without it, you feel disconnected from society. I understand that. But many of you, when you were younger, we didn't have cell phones in school. And so we didn't have to feel disconnected. We were part of society. We had communication skills. We went out, we played, we rode our bikes. We were in sports. We were active. And when you look at the condition of the average teenager or young person in America back maybe in the 70s, well, anything from the 90s prior, the 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s, 50s, look at the condition, the physical condition of children back then compared to maybe around your mid-2000s, where phones became really gained mass popularity. Let's put it that way. Where everybody now, it was affordable, everybody had a phone, you know, probably about 2005 now, you know, when social media began to, when you could read your social media on the phone, and your phone basically turned into a computer. So I don't know, that was probably the early 2000s, right around there, maybe a little later. This is when all your social media started popping up, and this is when people became zombies. And now we have kids who have neck issues. They're having to go to chiropractors because they're staring down at a phone, you know, 5 hours plus a day. So this is going to be, I think, really an issue down the road for society, that we have so many people addicted to social media. Not that it's bad to have social media, but when it's like anything else, when you consume too much of something, you know, if you want to smoke a cigar, God bless you. But if you're smoking 5 a day, you know, if you like food, God bless you. But if you're, you know, if you're eating McDonald's every day and you're overeating, or, you know, if you want to have a cocktail after work or a beer, God bless you. But when you're drinking a 12-pack after work every day, then there's a problem. And so we have a social addiction now where people are spending literally half their day while they're awake on social media. And now it seems to be raising American kids, because we have so many lazy parents out there. And so kids are addicted to their phones, their iPads, they're glued to them all day. They're not involved in sports like they used to. They're not, you know, we don't have as many kids taking music classes as you used to. Kids aren't out riding their bikes. They're not out playing with their friends. They're just not out there being social and active. And so they're not communicating. The way they communicate is through email and text. And so you have a society coming up now that isn't even going to know how to function. They're not going to even know how to communicate with other human beings. Again, kids sit around all day. They're not producing. They're not competing. They're not able to think for themselves because they're glued to a phone or an iPad. China, ladies and gentlemen, is going to eat our lunch. Absolutely eat our lunch. Because we are creating zombies. China is creating the next generation of innovation. They're competitive. This is going to be bad. It really, really is. And you look at, think about if you were in school in China. I've never been to China, but I can probably say 100% that if you act up in a classroom in China, if you're defiant in a classroom in China, you're probably not going to be in that class very long. They're not going to tolerate it. And so while we have people who are going to continue to be zombies, defiant, they're not getting educations, they want to be YouTube superstars, while Chinese kids want to be engineers and astronauts, you see where this is all going. This is going to be really, really bad for our country, because without a younger generation coming in to replace the older generation, the younger generation will have no skills, and they're going to acquire massive amounts of debt. So comment down below, what do you think about this? Again, I'm not against social media. I'm on social media today, but you gotta have limitations on anything, right? Food, booze, your cigars, your social media, you name it. You got to have limitations, because at some point it becomes very, very unhealthy. And then what are you absorbing on social media? You know, you could be absorbing knowledge, you could be learning how to do things, and that's productive. But there's a lot of things on social media you could be absorbing, especially children. That could be very, very negative. Here's another one. Animal contraceptive and antibiotics detected in top 10 popular fast foods. Here's a few of the restaurants right here where they detected monosin, narasin, and nicarbasin. Now, they didn't detect large amounts of these drugs, but they did detect them. McDonald's, Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, Burger King, Taco Bell, Dunkin', Wendy's, and Domino's, to name a few. And they've also detected harmful pesticides in some school lunches. And so this is a wake-up call, I think, to everybody. I love to have some fast food every now and then. Don't get me wrong. I like to drink a Coke, and I know somebody's going to call me out and tell me how bad that is. I do try to work out a lot. I do try to eat primarily healthy food most of the day. But look, I like to indulge every once in a while, just like you. But I don't get carried away with it. But I will tell you this. I've not eaten at a McDonald's for I don't know how long. I will never eat or drink at a Starbucks. Chick-fil-A, I'm a little surprised here because I like Chick-fil-A, but I may have to cut that out. Burger King, no way. Taco Bell, no way. Dunkin', I like their coffee. That's it. Wendy's, no. Domino's, no. So there's not much on that list that I really eat at, except Chick-fil-A. I do like a Chick-fil-A sandwich, but this concerns me because even though these are low doses that they've detected in these foods, over time, what is it going to do? We don't know. So I think that it's so important. We spoke yesterday when I was on Matt's show, Ox Talks. Check that show out yesterday, OX space Talks, TALKS. Matt's a great friend of mine, and I want to make sure that people are checking out his channel. But we talked about the importance of health and being fit. But what we really didn't mention is diet. And this goes especially for kids, because kids are eating this stuff. When I was a kid, when many of you were kids, the fast food was not this dangerous. The fast food was nothing like this. It was not as processed. It didn't have as many chemicals like it does now. So this stuff to me is extremely dangerous. But again, you look at the condition, look at the physical condition of kids today versus what you saw back in the 90s, the 80s, and the 70s, and the 60s. I mean, it's night and day. So you have to ask, do these chemicals play a role in this? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. But looking at how diets and what's the ingredients in foods has changed over the last decade or two, you can definitely see a difference in people. So I think we're going to see many, many more people get very, very sick in society because of these terrible diets. So one thing we can all do today, advice. Here's a little advice today. We can all improve our diets. And that doesn't mean you have to, just go crazy overnight and drop everything. But if you start cutting things out, maybe you have the willpower, you can go cold turkey, do it. But maybe if you start cutting things out, and maybe if 80% of your diet is clean and you can indulge a little bit on the other 20% while you're working out, I think you're going to be much better off. The cleaner and better you eat, the more healthy you're going to be, the longer you're going to live, the stronger you're going to be, and the less chance of disease. So I think it's extremely important right now to be doing everything we can to be eating healthier and to be getting more fit. That means hitting the gym, getting on the mats, going for a walk, running, a bike ride, getting off the couch, and just getting more and more active. There's something we could always be doing. Like Matt said last week, do 2 push-ups a day, 5 push-ups a day. Whatever you can do, you got to start doing something. And if you're addicted to the junk food, maybe you just start cutting some of it out. Cut it out one day and try to eat a little cleaner. You don't have to change overnight, but we need to start changing daily now. We're running out of time, ladies and gentlemen. It is so important, so imperative right now to get fit, to get strong, to be able to move, to have proficient skills, to be able to protect yourself, to have security. We can talk all day about the economy and finances, and that's extremely important. But I'm really, really worried when I look at the data that we're getting every day involving crime, and now the data of what may be here right now in this country that has come over here from other places globally, people with bad intentions, people that don't like you, don't like me, people are here for very, very bad reasons. We have got to be prepared for everything and anything at this point. Your head should be on a swivel. You should be exercising situational awareness every day. Whether we have issues in the Middle East or not, we have plenty of crime here to deal with, even if we're not dealing with that. But we're going to be dealing now with the fragmentation of the Middle East. There's no doubt about it. And that doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow or next week. We don't know. But it's here, and it's going to be an issue at some point. So you've got to start getting ready right now. Many of you have been getting ready for years. Many of you are more ready than I am. Many of you are in better shape than I am. I'm trying to aspire to be as good as many of you, getting out, training, getting fit, getting in better shape. And many of you have woken me up that I need to stay accountable, and I need to do a better job. And I'm going to do the best that I can. Whether we're stockpiling food and water, we're training, we're getting proficient with our tools, we're walking a better life with God, being a better Christian, we're leading a cleaner life, we're eating better. There's so many things we could be doing to be bettering ourselves right now. But if you start with one thing, you're better with that one thing than you were without that one thing. So if you can start improving in one aspect, one area of your life, that's already improvement. Tomorrow, you're already a better, stronger person. Keep doing it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't give up, and don't get complacent. We're going to see big trouble with this economy. We're going to see big trouble with what's happening in the Middle East and the fragmentation that I think we're going to get from that. But nobody knows what tomorrow brings. But if you're not doing anything to prepare for tomorrow, you're going to get yourself into really, really big trouble. And I feel sorry, not just for you, but I feel sorry for your kids, because you have a duty to protect your kids and your family. So wake up, pay attention to what's going on, do something about it, get active, get involved, start absorbing the knowledge, start getting in the gym, start being your own central bank, be your own security detail. Be your own grocery store, stockpile some food this weekend, go out with 20 bucks, 50 bucks and go buy some canned food at the least, canned food. Put a couple cases of water away. Do something. Doing something puts the odds in your favor. It gives you a better chance of surviving. Whether we have some kind of attack, whether we have a grid go down, economic collapse, whatever the case may be, you're going to thank God that you have that extra food, that water, and a way to protect it. Have a good weekend. Please like, share, and subscribe. God bless every one of you. Thank you so much for the prayers, the great letters. Again, none of this is possible without you. So again, thank you so much. Have a good weekend.